Hola y bienvenidos al Palante Nonprofits Podcast. Soy su host, Dr. Andrea Ortega, trabajando con organizaciones sin fines de lucro en Estados Unidos. I'm so excited to highlight our nonprofit leaders, change makers, and other philanthropists in our sector. Bienvenidos.
Bienvenidos. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Andrea Ortega, and welcome back to the Palante Nonprofits podcast. This season, I love to bring allies of nuestra comunidad, and I really love sharing people like the knowledge of how organizations, like really big ones, and maybe have existed for a long time, how they do it all. I love bringing that to our community and, maybe your organization can benefit from some of the work that David's doing. David is the CEO of Handwritten, a company that uses technology to send real handwritten notes in scale, right? So I know a lot of the organizations I've gotten to work with, some of my listeners, you guys are very old school and you'll throw parties or come together, or maybe there's that person with the nice penmanship who's doing all this. I am a firm believer that we should do more with less and that we don't have to burn ourselves out over every little thing. So when David and I connected, I absolutely love what he's doing. And we're so glad you're here, David. Anything you'd like to add?
No, thank you, very, very much for having me on your show. It's an honor.
Yeah. So many of our listeners grew up in cultures where handwritten notes are like a serious act of love and respect, right? I work with many EDs who they'll have their calendar, but they still carry an agenda. Like it's how they keep, themselves accountable. It's how they're able to remember so many details of their day-to-day life, especially if they're out on the ground. Very grassroots, right? So what is that, what made you realize that this could be applied using technology, but still maintaining that touch?
Yeah, we've been doing this for 12 years, and what I realized, what makes me so thrilled about what we're doing with nonprofits is it allows them to spend more of their time on the cause itself and not doing the paperwork of trying to shepherd donors and steward donors, right? Like, so it's all about just giving you your time back to do what you do best and what you really should be doing as opposed to sitting behind your desk writing handwritten notes. And then also it allows you, there's actually risk if you have like a handwriting party and people all sit around and write handwritten notes. Well, you don't know how their handwriting looks. You don't know if that high schooler or college age kid is going to have a spelling error, have, whatever. Or you're probably feeding pizza or tacos and they're going to get taco grease or pizza grease on the handwritten note. So, this is a way to do it that and you don't need to organize a party. You don't need to feed a bunch of people. You can just make sure that everybody gets the right note at the right time. They get that gratitude they deserve and you have your time back to focus on your cause. And that's really what we do.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned that because I'm big on risk assessment and mm, like to your point, that is crazy. What if they're not writing what the prompts you gave them? It ends up not being truly personalized or not with the voice or the tone. And then I think you brought up something that's really important. I think I mentioned earlier when I was talking to you off camera, but we do not have to burn ourselves out doing every little thing. Like if you look at some of and I give people examples from like 990s to their website, like how people are running, large organizations, have they been able to scale and maintain something sustainable? It's really that delegating and creating systems to work for you that still have what you need it to do, but it's on someone else's plate. It's being taken care of so that leaders can do what they need to do directly to the cause. So like if your job is to go out and be organizing and be present, like go be present. You don't have to worry about coming back to then go send the thank you cards. Handwriting is there.
Like people say, okay, well, we'll just have a party and have people do it. Well, how much time did it take to plan that party? It probably didn't take a ton of time, but it probably took a few hours. So
Yeah.
it's the few hours of that, plus the few hours of writing, plus all the costs of pizza or whatever else. Like it adds up. Your time is super valuable. And does this replace every handwritten note? No. I mean, you're super, super valuable hobbies, of course, should sit down and write those. but the rest of them can still have a wonderful experience and get something that means something. You just don't have to do it yourself. Just like you're not
Yeah,
doing it already, right? Like, you're already outsourcing it to your interns and the parties. Oh, so what's the difference?
I love that.
No, it's just a different way of doing it.
I love that. And, our audience are, again, many not just our audience, the whole nonprofit sector are people with limited staff but big hearts. So what does the data tell us about handwritten notes for donors? Can you talk a little bit about, maybe some data there around and many orgs I work with, like, well, will it give to more donations? It's not just about making like that donor like give
Right.
more. It's also just about acknowledgement and making sure they remember you for the next time someone else wants to give money. Like, people don't understand the ripple effects that donor stewardship has, really, sometimes.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, so there was this survey, I believe it was in, like, 2020 or 2019, something like that, by a company called Impacts Research, and they asked, donors why they don't redonate, because redonation is below 50%. It's like 45%, and when you ask those, and, those that would be your easiest form of revenue if you could just raise your redonation rate. So when they ask those donors why they don't redonate, the number one reason by a landslide was because they didn't get thanked. And I actually think, those donors did get thanked. I think they got a automatic receipt, via black bot or whatever, in their email. What they're really saying was they don't feel thanked. And there's a big difference between being thanked and feeling thanked. So sending a handwritten note is a great way to feel thanked, and it's been proven time and time again to raise redonation rates. So that's the biggest one. And to your point exactly, it's not always about driving a call to action of, hey, forget to donate again. It's just making people feel thanked. It's just simply saying, thank you so much for your donation. This is what we were able to accomplish with your donation. Or, visit this website to watch a video on how your money has impacted us, whatever that is. It's just letting people know that you're very appreciative for the treasure they've given you, basically. So that's really what it boils down to, is just making people feel thanked. It's what we call a full stop thank you. It's You're not asking for anything else. You're just saying thank you, full stop. So that's a big part of our business here at Handwritten.
I love that. And then, so I actually want to change some of my questions to ask you a little bit more about how it works if we were to get started with handwritten. For a small development director or maybe someone who is looking to pitch this to their board, what is that kind of first step? Like, what is that first step with you? How do you ensure maybe some of your frequently asked questions in terms of like, will they know? Like, what do you mean? Like a machine that ends up writing it? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so, to cut to the chase, yes, we do use robots. So we have 200 robots that we actually designed and build. Yep, exactly. They're sitting there dancing around the room when they're not busy. No, they look kinda like old school plotters, and they hold a pen. It's a Pilot G2 ball pen. You could pick them up at Office Max or whatever. Um, then we write the note, stuff it, we write the envelope, which is actually the most important part, because a handwritten envelope has a much higher open rate than a printed envelope, and then we put a real stamp on it and we mail it for you. So that whole process, if you're to visit the website and send one, it's $3.75 plus postage, but we have dramatic discounts on business plans. So you basically pay a small monthly fee, and then your cost per card is like a buck 19, and it would be hard to go to Staples or Office Max and buy cards for that price. It's a very cost-effective way. And the other benefit of our system is you can go on and design your own stamp. So it could be a card with your photo or a photo of your team, a photo of the cause you're going after. When you open that up, maybe there's a QR code at the top that says, here to watch our latest video on what we've accomplished. All that is included for no extra charge. Um, Yeah, it's a fully automatic process, and the way it typically works is we do have um, a playbook we can send you. We're trying to add it to the website right now. We don't have it anywhere on the website, but we've written a document that walks you through all the different ways we integrate and different types of messages. We have examples of messages. For nonprofits, we integrate with Blackbaud. More and more nonprofits are using Salesforce, so we integrate with that as well, and HubSpot. Uh, if any of those are your donor management platforms, we have kind of arm's length relationships with Donor Perfect, Virtuous, and a number of the others. We're really trying to get on Virtuous's platform right now. They're local here in Phoenix. So we integrate with those, so you don't have to go anywhere else. You just go into the platform you typically use, especially Blackbaud, and you select your contact, and you can send them a handwritten note straight from. If you don't wanna do that, you can visit handwritten.com. We've got a great website. But the first step is going to our website and booking a demo. If you say you're with a nonprofit, we'll have our nonprofit team on the call. So that would be Eric, who leads my nonprofit division, and Amber, who's the account manager, also that works hand in hand with those nonprofits. So, we work with nonprofits, large and small, ranging from nationwide, um, nationwide health organizations. Unfortunately can't mention any client names, so I have to be a little vague here, to very local food banks and smaller from there. And we kind of work the entire gamut with nonprofits. We're able to make sure it's very cost effective for you and very effective overall. So that's kind of what we do. But yeah, your first step would be to go to handred.com and then book a demo and then see where that goes, if that makes sense for
I love that. And let me tell you, my favorite family member is my Roomba or my Eufy like vacuum. Like
you. Uh-huh.
robots are here and there's a way to implement them, in a way that really makes your life, you know, uh just really easier. That's a part of it. Like you still want to make sure you acknowledge the people who give to you, but you want to be on the ground with the people that you're serving. I think it's a really great compromise. Can the robots write in Spanish? So I know you
Oh,
mentioned that, like,
100%.
you can select the message. So, like, I, would love to tell my orgs that they can put their own sentiments and stuff like that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, they write in Spanish, English, French, German, probably Portuguese. We have the accents to support it. So that's not
Love
a
it.
problem. Any Latin character group we can do, and then we can do little smileys and hearts and, all those little
I love
emojis.
that.
And now you can design your own doodles. So if you wanna, I don't know, maybe you're a homeless shelter and you wanna signatures, and if you wanted to go so crazy as to design your own handwriting style, you can do that. I'm the founder of the company. I don't have my handwriting on there, but a lot of people do. Yeah, no, it's really flexible. It's fun, and our teams, this is what we do. And actually, nonprofits are the most important group we work with. So,
I love that.
you know, from a cause base, and then also it's most of our clients are nonprofits. Yeah, it's really wonderful that we're able to help and make an impact.
I love that, and I will definitely be sharing with everybody. So I'm super excited about that. My last question to you is really around, do you also handle, like, if there's any, like, addresses that, bounce back? Like, do you help maintain the cleanup of, because when I think of a CRM, there's data in there involved
Yeah.
and, are you able to work with each nonprofit if something bounces back and is there that system in place?
Yeah. So there's kind of two different services from the post office. There's one called CAS, which is certified. What is, I don't know. It's like an address verification. So all
Mhm.
that means is the address you're mailing to is an actual address. That
Mm,
one we include with a lot of our plans. The other thing is what you're talking about is called NCOA, which is the National Change of Address Database. That we are currently implementing. So we don't, like, if you move homes, that home is probably still there. So we would say it's a
yeah.
valid address because there's a mailbox there, but
Mhm.
it wouldn't be your home. So we are implementing NCOA, National Change of Address, right now. Uh, Hopefully that'll come out in the next quarter. But,
Very cool.
that's a very good question, and that's actually the first time anybody's asked me that.
Yeah, well, I think, for me, you wanna make sure, 1, it gets there, but 2, many nonprofits, like, I think data cleanup is sometimes on the back burner and really understanding, the role that that plays, so, like, I could just export what I think our address is, but it'd be nice to know how many were actually delivered and that they get to the right person. Yeah.
100%, yeah.
No, I don't have any more questions, but I'd love if you wanna add
Yeah,
how we can find you. Any advice for our nonprofits who are like on the fence about it? I feel like I would get a lot of the questions of like, I don't know if we can afford it, but I feel like you did a really good job about speaking to the cost and the ease of it and like just letting Henry be a partner of your donor stewardship process. Yeah, I'd love for you to do that one kind of like final spiel about why
yeah.
an organization should really consider it.
So, honestly, I'm here really to preach handwritten with an I, not a Y. Our company is HANDWRYTTEN, but handwritten with an I is just an actual handwritten note, and that's the most important. So, if you're not sending handwritten notes to your donors, please start and just, sit down with pen and paper. And then if that becomes onerous, because it became onerous for me, then use a service like Handwritten with a Y. At that point, visit handwritten, HANDWRYTTEN.com, and go to the business section. And there's a whole thing under nonprofits where you can request free samples. And hopefully, we'll have our white paper up there soon. We do have an overall white paper. If you go to the resources tab, we'll talk about some of the stats on handwritten notes and how effective they are. But yeah, honestly, just send handwritten notes with an I. And then if once you find the magic in that, switch over to us to grow it. As far as the robots, if you go to handwritten, HANDWRYTTEN, note, Instagram, so handwritten notes, or if you go to the bottom of the handwritten website, you'll find it, the Instagram link.
Yeah.
There's tons of videos showing the robots there, tons.
Oh, I love that. I want to be watching them.
Yeah, and or me personally, if you go to DB, for my David B. Wachs, DBWACHS, on Instagram, tons of videos, daily videos, too many videos of the robots there too.
I love that. Do the robots have names?
Every once in a while, somebody tries Riley the robot, whatever. They're just numbered.
I have one more question, and only because you said something that was really intriguing. And I probably should have asked this from the beginning, but what what was that turning point that you decided I really need to build Henry? It sounds like you had experience, and at some point, like you dealt with the problem, and like I'd love to know that story.
So I don't come from the nonprofit space. I had a text messaging. So we were sending like texts for started with real estate, but then it became big brands. So Abercrombie and Fitch, Toys R Us, Sam's Club, Office Bank, like pretty big brands. I sold that company and then had to work for the new owners for 2 years. And I realized, well, 2 things. Number 1, I realized all these text messages we were sending, they were fine and they were opt-in, you'd opt in, and they worked, but I felt like people were getting overloaded by them, overwhelmed. So when I wanted to thank my employees and my customers, I went to moo.com and I got a bunch of really very nice stationery for me to use. And I sat down and I started writing handwritten notes to those people. And I got through about 20% of the people I wanted to get through, but then my hand hurt and I ran out of stamps. And that's where handwritten came from, is I thought, gee, there has to be a better way. Because I really did want to send handwritten notes. It just, I didn't have the focus. So it's just the intent was there, but the follow through wasn't the best.
Something like filling out my child's metric forms is literally like
Yeah.
the only type of handwriting I got because I'm very computer and like everything is on my phone. And so I'm fascinated by the idea that I can use technology to help support because the intent is there, right? I definitely want to thank you all. Many of the nonprofits, they already wear all of the hats, and they'd rather, if anything, give you that handwritten and invite you to the next time to take a tour, the next time to the event. Like for me, that's where the value is, and I'd rather I do a lot of lunch and learns where we invite funders or major donors to tour facilities of. I do work with the homeless org, and so like um, to me, it's like yeah, if we could do it at scale, then I don't have to bombard them with their email reminding them. It'd be a nice invite. And some of the invites now online, if you really want to do one, they cost too. Like yeah,
Yep.
you can find a free one, but some of the like Evite is one of the ones I use, but, like, you have to pay for the really nice ones that I wanted to do all the things, and so, like, you might as well just ship it, so I'm very fascinated. Thank you for sharing your story. I think it also speaks to the creativity of all of the nonprofit leaders, right? We're always making more out of nothing. So the fact that
Yeah.
you saw that, and built Henrain, to me is amazing as a business owner. Alright, I don't have any more questions. Thank you
Well,
so
thank
much
you.
for being here, David. Look forward to first of all, I'm totally stalking the bots on Instagram, and I'll be sharing, with everybody who listens to the Palante Nonprofits podcast about, Henry through our description as well as through, YouTube and Instagram. But thank you so
Thank you. So nice meeting you.
nice meeting you too.
Don't forget to subscribe as well as like this on all of our social media. You can find us on Instagram at Palante Nonprofits and on our website at www.palantenonprofits.com. Gracias.